All right, guys, welcome. We are live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Den with Coach Seth Parr. We are sponsored here by City Park Development, and excited to have the opportunity to speak with Coach. We're sitting here and live at Nanda's Tex-Mex. Last week, we intentionally muted the mics.
Sure. Yeah,
and
for sure.
told people they needed to come and be a part of the show live here, and we got a couple from that. So thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Yes. But look, we got great sponsors for tonight's show. Sponsors like Country Charm Coffee, Anna Dental, Pin Oaks Christian Fellowship. Guys, the Cow Football Network and City Park Development are such a great combination right now. Getting the opportunity to do all this stuff together gives us this opportunity to sit here with Coach every week, every Wednesday, live from this awesome restaurant. Let's give it up for Nanda's before we get into this. As always, order liberally, tip even more, right? Yeah, we like the big tips. Anyway,
and hey, if you've only ever joined us online and you have the opportunity to come out to Nanda's, for those of us looking directly into the camera at you've only ever watched us online, come to Nanda's next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Come check it out. Come see what it's about. Come enjoy the food and the atmosphere.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's have y'all. Come on now. All right. Well, we're going to jump right in. I think Blake's got us with the first question, so we're going to let him start us off.
All right, so kind of talk to us. Give us a little overview last week. How does it feel this week after getting our first district win, kind of getting some things right? And who are some of the guys that stood out from last week's game against Independence for their performance?
It's good to get our first 5A wins. First time, I guess, in school history we got a 5A district win, since that's the first one we could have that first time we've been 5A. So that was good to get the monkey off our back on that one. And I thought the crowd, with being homecoming, I thought we had a great atmosphere once again at our stadium. We filled it up, and I thought we had some good performances. I thought the defense did a great job of getting off the field. The offense, we ended up scoring 70, and it's kind of crazy that when we went to go and grade the film, we only had 44 offensive plays. So, usually in a typical game we'll run 64 plays. So to score 70 points in 44 plays, that's pretty impressive. We have a lot of guys that stand out that always do good, but let's pull out Tristan Nylander for coming in the game. And I give Zy a hard time for the highest quarterback rating on the team was Tristan Nylander with like a 300 rating. And
I think it was 177.
It was 177, but to give context to that, the NFL's perfect QBR is a 158.3.
Yeah.
Tristan was 19 points better than perfect. That's
Yeah.
pretty darn good.
Yeah.
We'll take that.
It was 4 for 4 and had 2 touchdowns. And I thought Michael Kennedy got in the game for the first. He got in a little against Melissa, but I thought he came in and did a really good job. Thought the offensive line always does well. But I thought those two that are kind of brand new to it, I thought they did a really good job. And then the toe tap from Rowan was pretty impressive on 95. And to watch that game online and see that he saw that there was a flag, and then when he found out it was hands to the face, I could see his excitement because they thought he was going to take away his touchdown. So I thought he was pretty good. Just saw Edward Chumley come in and make sure he's got water. Hold that up, Edward.
Yeah,
Drink-
that
drink
water?
water. There
One
you
more
go.
glass of water for
That's
Edward Chumley
right,
as well.
that's
Let's
That's right.
Sprinkle a
So
little salt in the top of that water too. Let's really make sure we take care of him.
Edward had 2 touchdowns last week, and then didn't have very many carries, but he averaged 10 yards a carry when he did. So always somebody that we love to feed the ball to.
Well, we got Emerson on deck this week. Another district matchup. Frisco Emerson is a pretty balanced team. So what can you tell us going into this Friday's game?
Oh, this is a big game for us. This is going to determine a lot of the playoffs. I mean, a lot of people think if we win or lose this game, really if we win it, we're in. The other way around, we still got to beat Walnut Grove. Everybody's thinking Walnut Grove's automatically in the playoffs. They still got to play Lovejoy and Melissa. So, but if we win this game, I think that kind of knocks out Emerson unless they come up and beat a Lovejoy or Melissa because they still have both of those to play. But it puts us in a position to, really do something that I would be really proud of, going through a schedule that we had at the very beginning and keep on fighting and being able to, make the playoffs. With playing probably one of the toughest schedules in the state in our classification would mean a lot because that means they stuck to it. They grinded our way through some hard times, had some adversity, and being able to get through there, we're going to be a tough out when we if we can come out on this other side. Nobody wants to play us in the playoffs because we're a good football team.
That's right. Well, just to kind of follow up on that, you talk about the playoffs and figuring out playoff potential and playoff possibilities is kind of like working a Rubik's Cube, right? There's so many different elements that go into it. So just for the casual fan, like what are the things that they're looking up? Like what matchups? Is it points allowed, points against? Like tell us a little bit about how that works out.
It goes on your win-loss record in district. So I think that's going to be pretty filled out. You got Lovejoy, who's played us and Melissa, so they're 2-0. They got Emerson and Walnut Grove left. And I believe they'll probably win the other games that they play, most likely. And then same way with Melissa. And then there's 5 teams that are really, really probably hunting for a playoff spot. I don't mean to disrespect any of the other ones, but 5 realistic teams that are good playoff teams. It's probably Melissa, Lovejoy, us, Emerson, and Walnut Grove. And let's say it goes to a tie, and you have a tie, then it goes to points. Each game that you play, you got 17 points that you can max out at. So if you beat somebody by 18, it only goes to 17.
Okay.
So you put all the ones that are tied. Let's say it's us, Lovejoy, Melissa, or whatever, us, Walnut Grove, or whatever, and Emerson. If ever we had the same record, then you take how much we got. Let's say we beat Emerson by 7, got beat by Walnut Grove by 1. Well, that will put us at 6. If Walnut Grove got beat by Emerson, beat Emerson by 1, and Emerson got beat by us by 6, then that would be -7. So we would go to the playoffs, and they wouldn't. So, and then if it's a 4-way tie, you take it out, and then it goes head-to-head.
Okay, so what you're saying, Coach, is I'm wrong. It's not a Rubik's Cube. It's more like trigonometry.
Well, that's math. I never took trigonometry for a reason, but it's not that hard. You just go plus minus and who beat who, and then it's only the teams that you are in the tie with. It's not you can't beat, them beating Liberty 60-6 has no bearing on the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So it's only the teams that are in the tiebreaker that plus minus for them.
Okay.
If it is all equal, then it comes down to a coin flip.
Wow.
Yeah, let's not let it get to a coin flip.
No.
And as you're talking, all in the back of my head is the famous quote: "Playoffs."
That's right.
Playoffs. We just got let's worry about Emerson coming up this week. I know you got a big game. Toyota Stadium, fun zone or a no fun zone?
No fun zone, Toyota Stadium.
Oh.
No fun zone.
No.
So what I hear is let's turn it into a fun zone, guys.
Yeah. You gotta be
You didn't
loud.
say it.
Yeah,
I said it. Coach Parr didn't say it.
You gotta be loud. They're gonna be really strict there, so we're gonna have to make our noise, and it's gonna be a big stadium, so we all need to kind of sit together and don't spread out and sit together and be loud, and kind of everybody, get as loud as we can and be close together because it's so spread out. Grass field for the first time, and so we'll see. I'm sure it's not going to be that big of a deal. Everybody makes it a big deal, but I mean, it's not like we had never walked on grass before. So
at some point in their lives, these kids have played on a grass field somewhere.
Right. That's
And
right.
I know Toyota Stadium keeps plenty good care of their field over there.
It's a great field. So it's just I just don't think it's a very good high school field. It's nothing like the Coyote Stadium when you're going to fill it up. I think they need to. I don't work for Frisco, so it doesn't matter. But I'd rather it to have I'd rather have a good environment than just a field to play.
You'll appreciate this. I just got a text that said, "How does a soccer stadium not allow vuvuzelas?" That is lame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
A lot of people don't want to manage issues.
Hey, let me ask you this question. This one was texted in, and maybe you're gonna deflect this and let Coach Rod answer it. But we've seen social media posts. Des putting some stuff out there. Desmar, that he can kick some field goals from about 50 yards away. What in your mind? What's kind of the max distance you would be comfortable attempting in a game?
Well, I just want him to make extra points. If he makes the extra point.
We made 8 of them this last week.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. So we've had a kicker make 50. We've tried to. I've had great kickers in my career. We've had 2 All-Americans that played at the collegiate level, and we've had one that hit a 55-yarder as time expired. And so I've been really lucky to have really good kickers, and Dez is in that mix with them, and I think he's going to get better and better. I'm really proud of him on his kickoffs and getting it through the end zone. Had a little communication issue with the special teams coach and me and him this week, but it all planned out. I'll let Coach Rod tell you about that. But
we'll make sure to ask.
Yeah,
we're going to add that to the question list right now.
Yeah, Dez is a blessing, and the whole group is somebody that we feel real comfortable. We've come a long way in Anna, Texas on our field goal attempts in the last 3 years.
A long way.
I remember 2 years ago, Stephenville, we had some issues, and we just decided to go for 2 every time. In a varsity football game, we thought we were going to have to do that. And then kind of funny is we needed the extra point to win the game. So we went for 2 every time except the last play, and we had to make the extra point, and everybody was really nervous. And he drilled it. I guess we should have kicked the extra points every time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's kind of switch gears a little bit. Aiden Palmer obviously went down. Not asking you to talk about his injury necessarily, but how are his spirits? Have you talked to him? How is the team kind of rallying around him? And how can we as a community continue to rally around this young man and his family?
Aiden has had an extremely hard year and a half. He's gotten his tonsils out. That had a bad reaction to that. He's gotten sick, and we were really worried about him. He's somebody that played a lot his sophomore year, and then coming into this year, it seemed like he just hadn't got a break. And then he was just running, and he stopped and snapped his leg and ankle. And I might be telling too much, but I'm pretty sure the Palmer family's okay with it. But he had a tough break, and he's had surgery, and I believe he's had surgery. I was asked that earlier, and I'm pretty sure that's happened. But
I know she put out on social media those things too. So.
Yeah, so he's a great kid. Everybody was really upset, but he told me, like, he looked at me and goes, "It's broke," right when he came in there. And she's like, "I think you're good." And then she picked it up, and I said, "No, that's broke." I confirmed it when I looked at it. But he's somebody that just smiled the whole time. He said, "Maybe this is not for me." And I said, "You can't really think it like that. You can't get in your head. When you're talking about mental stuff and mental illness, that can happen because you can become negative because a lot of things just seem to swell up on you. But what we can do is let him know that we support him, and anything we can help him, and know that he's got a group of people around him, that will support and, love and care for him. That's kind of what we have to do right now because, everybody's going to go through some times that are not always good, but there's always another side that you're going to come out of, and that's what this game teaches you is there's going to be tough times, and then there's going to have tough times, make tough people, and you're going to have to come through it, and then when you look back at it, you're going to have something to go back on and say, when this happened to me, here's how I handled it, and here's how I got through it, and then you're going to be able to help somebody else out when they have that same problem. So a lot of prayers, a lot of get well soons. I think we started, we try to bring food to him and his family and try to make their life easier. So I'm sure we can get something going and help out as much as we can. But he's a great kid. He's a popular kid on our team because he cares so much, and he's a good teammate. And you hate when bad things happen to good people. And he's definitely a good person. And I'll miss him, but he's still part of our team. That's what I tell him. And, we try not to treat him any different. If he messes up, we get on to him the same as if he does really good, we cheer for him.
Well, I know, knowing that kid, I'm sure if he could, he'd boot up and just go run out there as he is right now.
Oh, yeah.
If it was up to him. For those who don't know, there is a meal train that's going around social media that you guys can sign up to take a meal to the family. And I know they would be extremely grateful for that.
I told him when he was out there, I didn't realize how much he looked like Vanilla Ice. Took his helmet off, and he's got his hair bleached. And I said, "You kind of look like Vanilla Ice right now."
He's like, "Who, Coach?"
Yeah. He didn't know who he was. And I was like,
"Oh man."
Right.
Well, listen. Now we have a new nickname for Aiden Palmer for the show.
That's right. We do.
It's official
Vanilla
now.
Ice, or the guy on the was it Top Gun? Was it not Goose, but
Maverick?
No,
Iceman?
Yeah, Iceman.
Iceman?
Val
Okay.
Kilmer.
Iceman, yeah.
All right. All right.
A lot of years ago.
Val
Val doesn't look like that anymore.
I feel what it's like whenever you throw a reference out there that people don't get.
Yeah.
That happens to me occasionally on a Sunday. So
yeah, the real Top Gun, not this one that just came out. That everybody tried to say was so good, and that late people didn't even look the same. And very unrealistic movie, So flying planes that can't fly anymore, and 60-year-old, I don't buy it.
So we need to change the name of the show. We're going to start doing movie reviews with Coach Seth
right.
Barr.
It's
I think
terrible.
this will be
That'll be the off-season version.
That's right, the off-season
movie reviews.
I left that thing, and y'all would appreciate this because y'all don't lie since you're preachers. But everybody's lying, saying they love that movie so much. And I left it, and I said, "Really?" The lady, I didn't even know, that wasn't a blonde hair. That wasn't his girlfriend the last time. I couldn't figure that out. I was lost the whole movie. I said, "That don't even look anything like her."
Well, listen, you'll appreciate this. I just never even watched it.
That's
I was like, you know what? I don't know if I even want to see it. The first one was good enough. Why do I need a second one? 20 years later or whatever.
Better for you. That'd be like a remake of Iron Eagle. It wouldn't be very good.
Well, hey, Coach Barr, any other thoughts you want to give us before we let you go?
No, that's it. I appreciate you guys. Let's win this week. I'm really excited.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach Barr. We'll take a quick break to hear from Anna Dental. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you for Anna Dental for sponsoring the Coyote football program. Hey, we are here with Coach Rigg, our offensive coordinator. Coach Rigg, we said it as you were walking up. For those in-house, but those online, the seat's a little bit less hot when you score 70 than when you score 18.
Yeah, we like these kind of weeks. It's a lot better.
It is a lot better. So you have to be proud of your guys for the performance last Friday, right? Coach said, what was it, 44, something like that plays?
Yeah.
So talk to us about what you saw and some of the guys that you think stood out.
Yeah, I mean, had Michael Kennedy had a way bigger role than I think he'd had kind of in the weeks previously, and that's just goes along with him, sort of learning the offense, getting familiar, and then getting comfortable with the quarterback and getting comfortable within the system. He hit some things that really were exciting and sort of gave us a flash in the pan of what he can be kind of going forward. He's a pretty special player, pretty electric, and be able to get him on the field last week was really good and get him some touches, and he sort of showed what he could do. So I think that there's just more of that to come, and like we've said before, there's a lot of playmakers, so spreading that ball around is kind of difficult, but he's one that just off the top of my mind really stood out. Ace Trailer had some really big plays as well, had some really, really good catches. I mean, really, really made some big plays for us, and he's been, every week he is just Mr. Consistent. It's always one thing or another that he's doing well, that he's making a play on special teams, offense, blocking, catching, whatever it may be.
I told him after the game, I said, Ace, I am so glad that you were in a Coyote uniform this year, and
right.
we're not having to face you in any way, shape, or form.
Yep.
It's nice watching that kid play. Yeah. So you talked about a couple of them. Who else maybe stood out to you? Anybody else?
O-line played well, which that was kind of our big MO, was Emma and Chumley after the Melissa game. We didn't think we really fired off like we could have and didn't sort of finish that game like we thought we could have. We thought we could have really finished it running the ball, and if we were getting good push off the ball, could have been a sort of a different result. So that was something that they really took throughout the week with a little reminding from probably me and Coach Parr. But then they really kind of took the reins on that and went after it.
How much of that do you attribute to having one of your centerpieces, a senior who was sitting out because of a concussion protocol?
Yeah, and that's the thing. We got a full week of them practicing together, which it shows. It's we still had Rylan Crawford was out last week, and so he wasn't rotating in, but finally kind of had a core of 5 that practiced all week together, and I mean it shows. You can tell.
Well, one of the touchdowns that happened was with George Rogers.
Yep.
And I watched the sideline explode.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about that moment. That was a fun moment.
Yeah, so this year George's been on defense and stuff, but he's made plays for us in the past. Yeah. All Saints last year, he had a huge run to kind of seal the deal to finish that game, and then has made, he's played H for us, played safety, played running back, and so when the game was kind of getting extended, some of the guys were getting pulled out. He was one of the first ones over there lobbying to maybe get a play here and there. And we were just, George, I think you need to just focus on that other side of the ball first. But we were looking around for an H, didn't really have one. And so George has done it. He knows a lot of the different positions. He snuck in and then, just had a big play.
It was fun to watch everybody. That was a great celebration.
By the way, I think he picked up the hold on the play before intentionally so he could get a longer touchdown.
I agree.
We did talk about that this week.
I gave him a hard time after the game.
Yes.
Well, Coach, congratulations. It was a great week. Your offense really got to display some big steps forwards. That's a lot of fun to talk about. But we want to shift gears and kind of look ahead. Emerson's got a couple really great ball players, right? Malik Hawkins is one of them, on the defensive side of the ball for Emerson.
Hey, real quick, ask him why he knows Malik Hawkins' name so quickly off the bat.
Why
do I know that?
Yeah.
Oh, he has a brother that plays D1 football.
At what school?
Oh, he plays for Oklahoma. Yeah. He plays for Oklahoma.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, there is that. That's tough. They get Missouri soon enough. We'll see how it goes.
We will.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So anyway, how does our offense go about handling a defensive threat kind of like a Malik Hawkins?
Yeah, so the best thing is that if we can run off the football up front and move people with the big boys, and then Chumley gets the run game going, you don't have to worry about that coverage as much, which really helps. Got a pretty athletic quarterback with his legs that helps as well. but kind of getting movement up front, I think in a certain our dominance there, setting the tone then and having to put them in bad situations on the back end really helps. When guys like that are able to either play off or play in comfortable positions with extra help, that's when they can give you a lot of issues because they're good athletes. I think not only him, but they've got a safety that's really good. They got a couple DBs that are really good players. They got an inside backer that's a really good player. But you got to just, come off and sort of assert our dominance up front and see if those guys really want to tackle, get the ball out to our players and see, because if one of them misses, then that thing's going a long way. But, make them tackle, make them do things that they're not comfortable at.
Well, so, Edward Chumley, do you have enough Pedialyte? Are you set for the week? Okay. If not, we can make it happen, brother. What I heard is we got to have our running back and make sure he's not cramping.
100%.
Well, I always appreciate being able to look across the ball and recognize the talent that we're going to go up against. Because great players want to play against great players. They want to be tested by the best. And I think Coach Sevier talks about that almost every week here. Yeah. We never want – it's always great when you can go in, you can put up 70 and win by 35 points or whatever. But it's also great when you can go in a game and it's a one-score game and you edge it out. But I am a little shameful in how I pick the particular players that we go against. Yep. So it is the way it is.
It is what it is.
I get a microphone and 50% of the creative license of this show. So but
I understand.
Emerson is a pretty balanced team, but pretty stingy on defense.
Yes.
And so this far in the season, they've only given up 12.5 points per game. So what's going to change?
So a lot of the things that I think people were trying to attack them with were a lot of different movements and kind of moving people around. They're really fast and they pursue the football really, really well.
So some eye candy?
And some eye candy may be all right, but I think you just got to hit them in the mouth and sort of see if they actually want to continue doing that for 4 quarters. And that's something that Walnut Grove did a really good job of it early on. Their guys kind of eventually the defense, they were able to pressure them and give them some issues on offense, but early on, Walnut Grove had a lot of success doing that, and I think that's one way. Whenever you go against really athletic teams that like to cover, like to play in space, like to do those things, you got to do things that make the defense uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And I think just being extremely physical with any defense, especially ones that aren't very big, kind of can cause them issues.
Well, so I think that's a great note. I'm guessing we'll see some of our Godzilla package, some of our maybe some rhinos, things like that. But you don't have to say anything about that because I don't want you to give away your full game plan.
No, we're going straight empty the whole game.
Straight empty, okay.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Five
I
wide.
see the strategy in that.
I saw a picture of a formation on Twitter this week, and it was 5 wide all on one side.
Yep.
Yeah, Quince. The Quince package.
It can be done.
Well, hey, I'm looking forward to seeing how our offense responds. I think you talk a lot about our offensive line, and that's certainly been one of our strong suits this year. So I think matching up and saying, hey, our big hog mollies up front, go get dirty and do some work. I think those guys kind of revel in that opportunity. So, Coach Rigg, we're excited to see the offense and see what it does on a grass field. Seeing the fireworks that happen on turf get taken over to Toyota Stadium. So, Thanks for taking a couple minutes to join us.
Awesome.
And we're going to take a quick break to hear from Country Charm Coffee. All right, there we go. We're joined by Coach Severe. Lower third is up and live. I love it. Hey,
Locked,
Coach
baby.
Severe, our defensive
Locked.
coordinator, thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, thanks for
Welcome,
having us.
Coach. Yes,
Hey,
sir.
defense is continuing to move forward. Our ones last week gave up 8 points.
8 points, baby.
That's a big. Let me say that again. Our starting ones on defense gave up 8 points.
Not impressed.
They gave up 8 points.
Not impressed.
I don't know.
It
how
takes a
much-
lot to impress this group.
That's right.
They're like, why didn't we take 8 points from them?
8 too many.
8 too many. That's right, Coach. Yep.
Hey, so who are 2 to 3 of kind of in your mind of the most improved defensive players to this point?
It's kind of hard to list 2 or 3, I guess, because there's been quite a few I feel like that improved. But I feel like Cash Williams has improved. We've kind of adjusted his position a little bit, and as we've done that, he's made more and more of an impact as we've gone on. I feel like JoJo has been a really good, impressive. He's kind
JoJo.
of gotten comfortable on the back end, and he's made a lot of plays for us back there. Austin Crowley, I thought he's battling an ankle injury, but he's gotten better and better each week. I think Martin's getting better and better each week. It's really hard to single out kind of one guy because I think, number one, a lot of them are playing their first varsity football this year, and so, you hope after 5 games that they're going to improve, and you start to see, even in practice, you start to see our guys get a little bit more comfortable competing against really good players.
Well, with Cash, we talked about this last week, a little bit of like take some of the mental part out of it, right, and just release him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you could see it.
Yeah.
Like you could, it was just there. It was almost like he was salivating at times, man, when he was coming out there and trying to get in the backfield. It was a lot of fun to watch him play. But I think I was most impressed with guys like JoJo and Austin Crowley. Crowley said before the game in his pregame interview, I've got my own shoes to fill now.
Yeah.
And I thought, what was he, second on the team, tied for second on the team in tackles?
Yeah.
He had a really, really good game.
Yeah, he looked a lot more comfortable last week, and I think the more he plays, the more comfortable he gets, and he starts to get confidence. Like when you got to tackle and play in space against Chumley and Zai all spring, and then you're hearing about, all these great linebackers that were here last year and trying to compare yourself and struggling. You could just tell he was really trying to find himself, and then he's starting to have more and more success, and he's starting to figure out some of these guys we play on the other team aren't even as good as the guys we practice against every day. So, some of them are really good players. They are really good players, but when you have to tackle Chumley and Zai and you have to go against Peyton Miller and our O-line, it's like you have to put your hard hat on every single day of practice.
Yeah, if you're going to tackle Chumley, you better be a grown man.
Yes, and so you could just tell he's getting more and more comfortable.
Does that make me
with
not a
success.
grown man? Because I do not want to tackle Chumley.
I
I don't want to step up and tackle him. So I think for me, one of the guys I kind of think back on that game that I think took a huge step forward was George Rogers. I know we talked about it on the offensive side of the ball, but I think he really paired his aggressiveness that he just naturally plays with the right level of understanding of making sure he's wrapping up tackles and driving through it rather than trying to have everything be a hit stick moment.
Yeah.
And so I think he was one of those guys that took a huch step forward for me this week.
Yeah, I think George had a really good game. I think a lot of guys did, but he's getting more comfortable, and he's been an offensive player for the last couple of years, and I think he was really excited to play offense. And then we said, I asked Coach Parr in the spring, and I said, I really would like to have George on defense, and he said, I think we can make that happen. We're pretty deep on offense because I thought he could help us. And then George was a little bit frustrated about that at first because I think he was excited, for this year on offense, but you could just tell he's getting more and more comfortable. He's getting more and more excited about it now that he's making plays, and he's realizing that he's been a big impact for us on defense.
So looking forward to Emerson a little bit. You had a great game last week. Kind of going into this week, there's some wide receiver threats with this team, right? I don't know. It's like pretenders, contenders. Eventually, you start to kind of see the teams that have a pretty good stable of athletes and teams that are trying to still find their way. And Emerson is one of those teams that's got a pretty good stable of athletes. So we're going to go up against one of the contenders. And on that side of the ball, they've got some dudes, right? And they're going to be trying to do their thing while we're doing our thing. So how are we going to deal with some of those things and really try to bring that back down to earth, those wide receivers?
Well, I think Emerson, when you look at them, they're stable. Like their complete package of skill guys is pretty impressive. And they don't have the one guy like McCutcheon They don't have like the one guy that stands out, but they have a lot of really good players. And so that's where it gets difficult because you can't really key in on one guy. You can't focus on one guy. You have to kind of really focus on all of them and be more, sound and just make sure everybody's doing their job. You can't just lock in on one guy, and you can't put just Zay on one guy. You got to kind of just play defense and hope and coach that your guys all are doing their job. But I think, they're a really good team. I think we have some matchups we like that we hope to exploit, so hopefully I think our guys will come ready to play. And I think the other thing is, and I keep bringing this up every week, and I tell our defense this, when you have to defend our team every single day, there's really good athletes all across the board and a really good O-line. There's not really many holes on our offense. So when you face that every single day, you're sharpened. Your iron is sharpened as the season goes. And so I think our guys are confident because I think they see really good players. When you have to defend Ronald and Ashton and Roan and Ace and Chum. There's Michael Kennedy. They bring their backups in. They're really good on our offense. So,
Right.
So, it's been good for us to get better in practice every day too.
Well, hey, so Aiden Palmer, we talked about it earlier with Coach Parr, but he actually led our team in tackles this past week. So, his playing time and role was clearly starting to ramp back up as he was getting, reacclimated to football speed. So with him now being out, who do you look to step up in his absence this week?
Yeah, so that was interesting. So we were doing stats Saturday night. Our Friday night, I try to do them right when I get back, and I usually don't. I usually wait till Saturday mornings. I get pretty tired, and I get distracted, and I watch a couple plays, and I forget I'm doing stats and start watching them. Why do we do this? Why do we do that? But he had a lot of tackles on special teams. I don't know if people realize that. He had like we had a lot of kickoffs. We scored a lot of points. But he had a lot of tackles on kickoff, and our kickoff team was incredible last week.
Yeah.
And Aiden Palmer, and you saw it, there was a handful of guys that were approaching the ball, and as they were approaching the ball, they were slowing down, coming to balance, or, shimmy and gathering probably too soon, and Aiden Palmer wasn't slowing down.
No.
He was not slowing down. He was like, I'm going to run full speed, and I'm going to go hit somebody, and I might be 140 pounds because I've lost a lot of weight, but I'm going to throw all 140 pounds in it, and that's – And that's kind of what you love to see in a coach. You love to see people who just are unafraid to make a play, unafraid to give everything they have. And we'll miss that. Our defense, because his injuries, he really hadn't had a big role on defense. He was supposed to have a big role, but that's where George and JoJo came in because of his his illnesses. But he was starting to kind of just feel his role out. And we'll miss that on kickoff. I think, Coach Rod would admit we'll miss just his energy and passion and his ability to go down and not be afraid. We'll miss that on kickoff. At safety, we'll miss him as well. He's a really good player with the ball in the air. He tracks the ball really well, so that's something we'll miss from him. But I'll be honest, and we were playing really good on defense, and then when he got hurt, it kind of ruined my night. It was a little bit of a sour spot in that game because he's worked so hard.
Yeah.
And I brought up to our defense a few weeks ago, and I didn't think we were playing very hard at practice. And I said, you look at AP, and that's what we call him, and I said, he's just excited to be here. He's not playing right now. At that time, he wasn't even back yet. But he was just so excited to be back at practice. And a lot of our guys were going through practice, and just the grind of practice gets on you. And he was just so happy to be there because he hadn't been able to be there. And you go, it can be taken away at any moment, and he got it taken away for a handful of weeks. And just being at practice, being around his teammates, he brought life to us that week in practice because we had some guys that were down. And just his energy and his passion and his excitement to be around football again was great to see, and it brought us up. And so we'll miss that too.
Well, I feel like every week you talk about the violent nature of this sport.
Yes.
Right? It is violent, and you never know. You just never know when something's going to happen. And you pair that with the idea of what I've heard Coach Parr say quite a bit, which is you've got the play in front of you. That's what you've got.
Yeah.
You don't have the play behind you.
Right.
You don't have the next play. You have the play right in front of you, right? And you're going to maximize that. And I really feel like he kind of embodied that attitude.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know that it's going to inspire some dudes to come out this week and up their game.
Yeah, you hope so. You hope that, you don't play for anyone else because this game is too hard to play for anyone else. You got to play because you love it. But But I do think that kids love AP, and I think they will be inspired to, to play hard, regardless if he's there or not, but in kind of his name as well.
See that example and step up to it, you know.
Well, hey, Coach Severe, thank you for taking a couple moments to join us. We're gonna take a quick commercial break to hear from Pin Oaks for those joining us online, and then we'll bring up Coach Rod.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, well, we are joined with our last coach of the evening, Coach Rod, our special teams coordinator, wide receivers coach. Coach Rod, thanks for joining
Coach Rod
us.
in the house,
Yo,
let's go.
Look at that, a little love. Coach Severe's over there like, why couldn't I give love? My defense only gave up 8 points through 2.5 quarters. Like, what are we doing? Hey, let's start with it. Extra points.
Yep.
They were perfect from both kickers.
Yes, sir.
From both kickers. Talk about your boys a little bit, man. Love on them.
Yeah, going into this week, really emphasize, I was telling Dez and our field goal and extra point unit, hey, we got to win the extra point game, right? That's what we got really hammering. We got focused. I mean, the previous weeks, we've missed some extra points, which, really put us in a bind. Against Melissa, we make one of those, and then we put ourselves in a position to possibly kick a field goal, to go into overtimes. And then same thing with Lovejoy. So going into this week, during our specialist period and during the period where we're working our field goal and extra point unit, heavily emphasize, the details of, hey, the snap, the hold, and kick. And we also added another protection in our field goal unit just to secure any more leakage that was coming through the middle or on the edges. So, and out of the years that, I've been with Coach Parr and I've done this, we've never had two protections on our field goal unit, and now we do, and I think it's going to really pay off a lot and help us in the future.
Well, we had one moment. There was a high snap, right? That Rowan had to kind of go up and get a little bit, get it down.
It was threatening that 100%.
Yeah,
it was threatening that perfect game.
Dez had to keep his focus. Kind of talk me through what you were impressed by on that specific play.
Really, what really impressed me with Rowan is just not panicking in those situations. You're 7 yards and that ball is coming in like a missile, and just being able to track the ball, adjust your hands, to be able to catch it the best way, and then get the ball and get a good hold while the kicker's coming into his approach. That's just, there's a lot of quick thinking that has to happen. Mm-hmm. And Rowan being able to execute that just says a lot about, what kind of a player he was. So he was cool, calm, collective, and he was able to still get the ball down and, still get a good hold. And, Dez was still able to get in and get a good kick. We do have built into that, when there is a bad snap, we do have a plan, right? But again, Rowan was able to not panic. He was able to see that he was still able to get the ball, and we're still able to get the ball off. So, good. It was 7 touchdowns, or we had all 7 points made on an extra point team. That's equivalent to a touchdown.
Yeah.
Right. So that's big. So they had a really good night.
Well, hang on, don't cut yourself short. It was 10.
No, yeah, it was
up to that point.
Yeah.
But you got 10 extra points total. I'm not gonna let the boys get sold short there.
So you mentioned a lot of fast thinking, right?
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on. Coach Parr alluded to some. I'm not going to call it miscommunication. That might characterize it wrong. What happened?
Okay, so with Dez and how good
Every
and-
good story starts with, okay, so let me.
yeah, Dez has been phenomenal on kickoff, getting it out the back of the end zone. In the past, we haven't had that luxury of just being able to get it out the back of the end zone when we wanted to, right? So there is a time where, hey, we may want a team to return it based on what they do with their scheme, or if our kickoff team is doing a really good job, hey, we may want them to get a return, and maybe we could get them inside the 20, right? So I told Dez going into this week, hey, when we say out the back of the end zone, right? But when we say deep middle, deep left, or deep right, you're going to put as much hang time. It's going to be a ball with a good ratio kick, around the 5-yard line with a lot of air, and we want our kickoff unit to be able to cover, and hopefully we could get him inside the 20. Well, my lack of communication, I didn't communicate that with Coach Parr, and so I'm saying deep middle on the headset, and Coach Parr was saying no, I was saying out the back of the end zone in the headset. Coach Parr was saying deep middle, and on the first one it landed about the 1-yard line. So I'm like, okay, maybe he just didn't get enough into it, right? Then the second one, and I'm just like, okay, what's going on? Last week Dez was just booting them out the back of the end zone, right?
Yeah.
So then I kind of got frustrated on the headset, and Coach Parr was like, well, what's going on? What are we saying? This and that. He's like, I said deep middle. I was like, no, out the back of the end zone. And then he was like, well, I've been telling him deep middle. So then finally we talked to Dez. Hey, what's the deal? He's like, well, Coach Ross said when y'all say deep, this is where it needs to be. And, it kind of, we're able to iron out some wrinkles with our communication.
So how long y'all known each other? I mean, I just want to clear some things up here. How long y'all known each other?
Too long.
For those online that didn't get to hear that, Coach Parr goes, it's been happening since I met him.
Yeah, way too long. So, it's still, I promise. I tell them I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm really trying to get it right. I'm not trying to get his blood pressure high, but I don't know how things like this just seem to happen.
Coach, it keeps him young, right? Keeps him on his toes.
Yeah.
That's what you're just trying to keep him sharp.
Keeps him younger, or makes him age quicker. One of the two.
Coach Rod is coaching up. That's what he's doing. He's just coaching up.
Yeah,
that's what's going on.
Just keeping him alert.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, look, Ronald Bell is one of those players I really enjoy getting to talk about. And he's one of the wide receivers you get to coach a little bit. So he seems to have quite a bit of trust.
Yeah.
Right, and I think I know the answer to this question, but we really want to kind of hear your thoughts here. The coaching staff, his teammates seem to trust him. What makes him such a trustworthy player?
I don't even know where to start with Ronald. I mean, his love for the game. I mean, his work ethic, just being able to come in on a daily basis and just work hard in practice. Our catapult data, shows it on how hard he works. He's got the highest sprint yardage. I mean, he's always hitting those benchmarks of, hey, each and every day in practice, he's giving it all. I mean, he's pushing other people. He's running good routes. I mean, it don't matter if it's endo, quick game routes on their mesh. I mean, his routes are as fast and as good as he could be. And then, I mean, his playmaking abilities. I mean, you see it on Fridays, just him being able to make big plays. I mean, when you got somebody like that, you're obviously going to trust somebody. So, I mean, he's been awesome, man.
Man, last week was crazy. Double coverage.
Yeah.
I mean, he had hands and chests and
Right,
all in his face. He
Yeah.
was wearing another player and made an incredible catch.
Yeah, he was getting, in the process of almost being wrapped down in the end zone, and he was able to, make a contested catch. But, I mean, yeah, he possesses a lot of those qualities that, you want your entire team to have. So he's been good.
Well, hey, so another guy that stood out on special teams this week in the return game was JoJo.
Yeah.
Right? I guess I'm kind of left asking, where are teams supposed to kick the ball now? They can't kick it deep. They can't kick it to our up backs, for lack of a better term. Are they just going to kick onside all game long? What's the plan?
Yeah, so it's funny because me and Coach Severe were actually talking about that this morning when we worked our kickoff return unit, and we had a return in our gaps unit, which is just supposed to field the ball. You got explosive players in the back with Zayden Gentry, Ronald Bell. You got Edward Chumley at the back. You got Ashton Ainsley, and then you got Ace as one of the ends. And on the opposite side of Ace, you got JoJo, which on the first kick, he didn't do a good job of getting into the return, but he was able to figure that out and fix it. And then after that, he was getting really good returns. And a reason why we had one of the reasons why we didn't have that many plays on offense was because of the short fields we had, and a lot of that had to do with how JoJo was doing on kickoff return and being able to get a decent return.
It seems like we're on the plus
side. Did you hear
of
that,
the
Coach
field a lot.
Rigg?
Yeah.
Did you hear that Coach Rod said you're welcome for making it easy for you? So really your 70 points, Coach Rod just took credit for.
At least half of them.
Hey, as long as you keep doing it, he's good with it then.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so he did a great job being able to fill those pop kicks and make something out of nothing. So
He's got a pretty good like jump turn.
yeah.
I'm watching him. He'd get that ball. He'd start heading and pop. He would just put a leg in and
Yeah.
he would jump into it and turn field. Like it was pretty impressive to watch.
No, yeah. So it was good. So we just gotta continue to build off it, making sure that we don't. I think we've fixed the issue that we had against Lovejoy. With not filling that ball, but I think everything's been going good. So.
All right. Well, we're going to be watching the sidelines during kickoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be watching between you and Coach Parr. We're going to see, what's going down this week.
So which one of us is going to look up in the box and which one's going to look on the field?
Yeah.
We'll have the camera. We got 2 cameras there. We'll get you both.
We just need to get you on the headset.
You don't want that.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want
I don't
that.
think Coach Parr wants us in the headset anywhere.
No way.
Yeah.
It's already dangerous enough having us down on the sideline. But hey, look, guys, that's going to bring us to a close. Thank you to Coach Rod for being up here right now. Thank you to all the coaches tonight, to the Coyote fans who joined us here in person.
Give yourselves a hand.
Thank you for all your support for Nanda's Tex-Mex. I know the servers, the owner, the staff, everybody really appreciates everything you do while you're here. I know everybody appreciates what you're doing for the Coyote football team, so thank you for being here. We have an early kickoff this week. We want to make sure.
Real quick.
Hit it.
So for those that watch us online or watch a rebroadcast of this online, if you're not able to join us on Wednesday at Nanda's, come here for a pregame meal.
Yeah.
Come get some pregame food at Nanda's and then head over to the game. What time is our kickoff this week?
So our kickoff is early. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff. So everybody's got to make sure to get there a little bit earlier than normal. We're at Toyota Stadium. We're facing Frisco Emerson. I believe their mascot is the Knights. So be there. You are going to have to be loud. Don't spread out. Everybody get close to your neighbor. Love one another, right? Let's get tight so our voice can be loud. And then join us here, as always, Wednesday nights right here on YouTube. And we'll look forward to having you guys here with us next week. That's it. We're out.
Take care.
Thank you.